We are working on GMetrix Excel Expert Practice Exam 1. We're on the first project called Ice Cream Flavors. Task 1 wants us to go ahead and enable only digitally signed macros in this workbook. So what we'll do is we'll click File, we'll go to Options. From here we'll select Trust Center, and we'll go ahead and click Trust Center Settings. From here, what we want to do is select Macro Settings. And from here, we want to make sure that Disable All Macros except Digitally Assigned Macros is selected. I'll go ahead and shrink this screen so I can select OK. And we can close out of this dialog box. We'll go ahead and click Mark Completed. Task 2 wants us to be on the Flavor Prices worksheet. And what we're going to do is change the formatting of the markup and the price columns to display 2 decimal places. It wants us to go ahead and apply this formatting so that not only the existing rows have this formatting, but future rows as well. So to do this, we'll go ahead and select the C and D column here at the top, and notice it went ahead and highlighted everything. And we're on the Home tab in the number group, and what we want to do is click this right here, Increase Decimal, and notice that it now displays 2 decimal places. We'll go ahead and click Mark Completed. Task 3 wants us to go to the Quarter 1 Sales worksheet, and what it wants us to do is apply a formatting to the quarts sold. So we'll go ahead and select that column here. And what it wants us to do is to display the 5 least selling ice cream flavors with a light red fill. So we're with that column selected, we're on the Home tab. We're in the Styles group. We'll click the Conditional Formatting drop down. And what we're looking for is top bottom rules. And what we want is bottom 10 items. If you're reading through this very quickly, you might miss this because our step wants us to select 5. But this is the formatting that we want. From here, we want to change this from 10 to 5. We're also going to change light red fill with dark red text to light red fill. We'll go ahead and, with that selected, we'll click OK. And if I scroll down in my worksheet, notice it went ahead and did that for me. We'll go ahead and click Mark Completed. Task 4 wants us to go to the Monthly Orders worksheet. And in F4, the Demand column, it wants us to put decreasing if the orders in April were less than the orders in March, or less than the average orders for the quarter, January through March. Otherwise, it wants us to display no change. So we're going to use 2 formulas here. It's called a nested statement. We're going to use the OR formula, and then we're going to put that OR formula into the if function. So let's go ahead and do that. In F4, we'll go ahead and put our cursor. We want to click Insert Function. We'll type in OR, we'll click Go, and with OR selected, we'll go ahead and click OK. Now the first part of this is wanting us to look for if April is less than March. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and type in E4, which is the April, and we want it to be less than D4, which is March. And that's our first logical. The second one is going to be is E4 less than the average of B4 to D4. And we'll go ahead and click OK. And now that we've built our OR part of this function, what we want to do is in our formula bar, go ahead and select OR all the way through, leaving the equal sign. And what we're going to do is hit Control X on the keyboard, or on the Home tab you can hit Cut. It's the same thing. And now what we want to do is click Insert Function again. This time we need to do the if part of this question. So we'll type in if here. We'll click Go. With if selected, we'll click OK. And in our logical test, we're going to go ahead and hit Control V, which goes ahead and pastes the OR function that we just put in. And so now that we've put that, Excel's looking for those 2 conditions. If it's true, Excel's asking us, what do you want us to put? We'll go ahead and type in decreasing, and I'm going to hit Tab, and it puts quotation marks around that for me, which is a nice feature of the function builder. And if it's false, we're going to go ahead and type in no change. Make sure you capitalize the wording here in the statement, or it will mark you wrong. We'll go ahead and click OK, and we'll click Mark Completed. Task 5 wants us to go back to the Flavor Prices worksheet, and in F4, which is right here, we're going to go ahead and add a watch to this. So we're going to go to the Formulas tab here at the top. In the Formula Auditing, we're going to go ahead and select Watch Window. And in this window, we're going to go ahead and click Add Watch. It should reference the cell that we selected before we started the watch. With that, we'll go ahead and click Add, and then we can close out of this. Click Mark Completed. Task 6 wants us to go back to the quarter 1 sales worksheet. And what we're going to do is create a chart. The first thing we're going to do is select our flavors. There's going to be multiple points on this. And with that selected, I'm also going to select the cost column. I'm holding the control key down while I select this second range. And I also want to select profits. So still with my control key down, I'm going ahead and selecting this third range. And now what I want to do is go to the Insert tab here at the top. In our Charts group, I want to select this drop-down Insert Combo Chart because we have multiple columns selected. I want to select Clustered Column, Line on Secondary Axis. And it wants us to put it to the right of this table. We'll go ahead and click Mark Completed. We are working on GMetrix Excel Expert Practice Exam 1. We're on the second project called Food Trucks. Task 1 wants us to go to the Food Stock Inventory tab, so we'll go ahead and click that. And what it wants us to do is write a conditional formatting rule for A2 to A57. And what we're doing is looking for duplicate values and highlighting them red. The keyword in this question is conditional formatting rule. So what we want to do is go ahead and select the range that was given to us. We're on the Home tab. We're in the Styles group, Conditional Formatting. We're going to go ahead and select New Rule. In this section, we want to select Format Only Unique or Duplicate Values. Duplicate is selected for us, and what we want to do is click Format because we want to go to the Font tab, change our color to red. If you're not sure which color you're about to select, make sure you hover before you select, and it will tell you. We'll click OK. And we'll click OK. And notice that it went ahead and highlighted red the duplicate cells. We'll go ahead and click Mark Completed. Task 2 wants us to go to Q1 Actual Sales, so we'll go ahead and click that tab down here at the bottom. And in H2, what it wants us to do is create a formula that will calculate the number of trucks that had hamburger sales and had sales of more than 2,500 in the month of March. And so in this question are two identifiers that tell us that we want to choose count ifs. The first one is hamburger sales, and the second one is the $2,500. So we'll go ahead and put our cursor here in H12. We'll go ahead and click Insert Function. We want to type in count ifs because we have two criterias. We'll click OK. The first thing we want to do is select our range, which is the menu item, and we'll go ahead and select that range. Now, the question is a little bit misleading because it just says hamburger cells, but these cells actually say hamburger meal. So in our criteria 1, we'll go ahead and type in hamburger meal. Just be mindful of that. Our second criteria is going to be the month of March sales. So we want to go ahead and select that range as well. But this time we're looking for sales greater than $2,500. Go ahead and hit Tab. It tells us that the answer will be 2. Went ahead and populated that for us. We'll go ahead and click Mark Completed. Task 3 wants us to name the table here on Q1. So we'll put our cursor here in this table, and when we do, we get the Table Tools Design tab here at the top. Over here on the Properties group, we have Table 2, and it just wants us to go ahead and rename this table Q1_sales. We'll go ahead and hit Enter to set the name of that for this table. We'll click Mark Completed. Task 4 wants us to go to the Q1 Target Sales tab. And what it wants us to do is to save this chart in our GMetrix templates folder. So what we'll do, there's a few ways to do this, but we'll right click this. We'll go ahead and click Save as Template. We'll map to our GMetrix folder. And we'll go ahead and call this Target Sales. Capital T, capital S, and we'll go ahead and click Save. Click Mark Completed. And Task 5 wants us to go to the Pivot Table tab. And what it wants us to do is add grand totals for the columns only. So what we want to do is put our cursor here in the pivot table so that we have the pivot table tools here at the top. We want to click the design tab. In the layout group, we want to click grand totals, and we want to select on for columns only. Click mark completed. We are working on GMetrix Excel Expert Practice Exam 1. We're currently on Project 3 called Scuba Courses. Task 1 asks us to go ahead and protect the workbook so users cannot add, change, or delete the worksheets. And it gives us the password. So we're going to go to the File tab here at the top, and on the Info section, we're going to go ahead and click Protect Workbook. And then be careful because we want to protect the entire workbook, not just the current sheet. And then that's correct up there at the top, and we just need to enter in the password 12345, and it's going to ask you to rekey that password in. We'll click mark completed. Task 2 asks us to go ahead and create a new set of customized colors. So we're going to go to the page layout tab here at the top, and in the themes group we're going to click colors and click customize colors. It tells us to change accent 1. And what we want is the blue accent 1. Oh, and they want it changed to darker 25%. Notice I didn't know where it was. I just hovered. If you're not sure, hover. And we want to call this Ocean Colors. We'll click Save. And we'll click Mark Completed. On this same worksheet, it's going to ask us to go ahead and put a formula in to look at the courses and the instructor and have it fill in with the instructor name here on B8. So let's go ahead and put our cursor there. We're going to click the insert function here, and what we need is the VLOOKUP. We'll type in VLOOKUP, and then it's selected. We'll click OK. The first thing that we want to do is we need to tell Excel what we're looking up, and we're looking for RecDiver. So we'll go ahead and put that there. The table array, it's asking us to go ahead and select that table. It tells us that the table's on courses. So we'll go ahead and what we want to do is select both the foundation course and the instructor name, specialty course instructor name, and youth course instructor name. We want all of that. Ultimately, it's A6 to B31, but they have this one down here at the bottom. If you're not careful, you won't select it. The next thing it's asking us is to select a column. So we'll go ahead and select 2. Because that's where the instructors are at. And then we need to type in false here in the range lookup because we want an exact match. And we'll click OK. Notice that Dan Webster is populated for the instructor. We'll go ahead and click Mark Completed. Task 4 asks us to go to the Schedule tab, so we'll go ahead and do that. And in B7, we're going to go ahead and put in all the names of the instructor using a combo box, and we're going to apply 3D shading to the control. So you need to have the developer tab open. If you don't have that, you can right click here at the top and click customize ribbon, and from there just select the developer and click OK. On the developer tab, what we want to do is click this insert right here, and that's in the controls group, and we want to insert our combo box. And if you're not sure, hover. What it's going to have me do is actually draw that box. Once that's been drawn, we're going to go ahead and click the Properties button with that selected. First thing we want to do is input our range. So we'll collapse that. We'll go to the instructor list and select from A7 to A12. We'll drop that back down. And then you just want to make sure you check that 3D shading. We'll click OK. We'll click Mark Completed. And task 5 asks us to go ahead and remove the instructor's named range. So we want to go ahead and go to the Formulas tab here at the top, and in the Define Names group, we want to click Name Manager, and Instructors is the only one there. We'll have that selected. We'll click Delete, and we'll click Close. We'll click Mark Completed. We are working on GMetrix Excel Expert Practice Exam 1. We're currently on the 4th project called International Consulting. Task 1 asks us to go ahead and display the developer tab on the ribbon. So there are a few ways to do this. The easiest way is to just right click up here and click customize the ribbon, and then click the checkbox there. Click OK, and it now is there. We'll click mark completed. Task 2 asks us to go ahead and configure the workbook to calculate options so formulas do not show results changes until manually recalculated or in the workbook is saved. So keyword is configure. We'll click File, Options. In the Formulas tab over here, what you want to do is Calculation Options, Workbook Calculation, and we want to click Manual and just make sure that's checked off. And we'll click OK. We'll click Mark Completed. Task 3 is a little bit difficult. We're going to be on, we're still on this same tab, World Capital Cities. We're going to go ahead and click in the G2 cell, and this is going to be a nested statement. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a match formula, and the lookup value is going to be F2, and the lookup array is going to be B2 to B198. And the reason we're doing that, I'll slide down here. We're selecting all of the cells on this table, including this blank one right here. So you want to make sure you select all that. But we're not done. We want to make this an absolute reference for all of the values. Now, I'm just highlighting this this range, and I'm going to hit F4, and it puts the $ sign in front of both the column and the row for each section of this. But you could just manually key those in. For the match type, we're going to click 0. We're going to go ahead and click OK. We've done the first part of this formula. We're going to go ahead and click in the formula bar and cut match to the end of the formula. We'll delete the equal sign. And what we want to do is click insert function again. This time we want to insert an index function. So we'll type index up here. We'll click OK. We want to do the array row number column number. And for the array, we want to do C2 to C198. Again, that's the last cell in this table. And this array range also needs to be an absolute reference. So again, I'm highlighting that range and I'm hitting the F4 key on my keyboard. For the row number, we're actually just going to paste that match formula that we've already done. And then what we're going to do is click OK. Now, you could have typed this whole formula out manually, but that's probably the easiest way to do it. We'll go ahead and click Mark Completed. Task 4 asks us to go ahead and go to the Top 15 Cities tab. And what it wants us to do is add a slicer for the country column. So what we want to do is put our cursor here in this table, and we want to go to the Analyze tab, and in the filter, we want to click Insert Slicer. And then we just want to click the country up here, and we'll click OK. And that puts that here. It says to place it to the right of the chart. We're going to click Mark Completed. Task 5 asks us to go ahead and stay on this tab. And what we want to do is change the way that this is sorted. So with our cursor here in the table, we get the pivot table tools. We'll click Design. Sorry, we're going to click Analyze again. And in the show group, we're going to click Field List. And what we need to do is they want it by rank and not by alphabetical order. So what we want to do is take this, I'm clicking and dragging it down, and I want to put it here, right above, you see that green line, right above Capital City. So now it's sorted by rank. We can click Mark Completed. We are on GMetrix Excel Expert Practice Exam 1. We're currently on the 5th project called Export Foods. Task 1 asks us to go ahead and to go to the Specialty Items Prices tab, which we're on, and it wants us to format column F with the British pound sterling. So let's go ahead and select column F. We're on the Home tab. We're in the Numbers group here. We're going to click the dialog box there. On here, we're going to go ahead and click Number Currency, and in the Symbol group, we need to find GBP, and it can be hard to find as we're going through here. Here we go. I got lucky and found it pretty quickly, but it can be hard to find. We'll go ahead and click OK, and we'll click Mark Completed here. Task 2 asks us to go to the 2016 shipping tab. And what we're going to do is in column H, we're going to key in a formula that calculates the number of days it took from the date of order to ship. So we're going to click Insert Function here at the top, and the formula that we need is days. That's selected. We'll go ahead and begin this. The first thing that it needs to do is the end date, and that's going to be the ship date. So we need to select G2 for that, and our start date is going to be the date of order. We'll click OK. And it might not be clear in the instruction set, but what it wants you to do is to use the drag fill to populate this formula through the table. So you could just click and drag that down, or if you just double click that, it will populate all the way down to the end of the table. Little secret. We'll go ahead and click Mark Completed. Task 3 asks us to go ahead and go to the warehouse extension worksheet, and what it wants us to do is calculate the mortgage payments. This is another hard function. The function that we need here is called PMT, and we'll go ahead and click OK. So the first section is the rate, which is B5, but we want to divide that by 12 because there's 12 months in a year. The NPER is going to be B6, but we need to multiply that by 12 because there's 12 months in a year. And it says down here, total number of payments for the loan. So it's 15 years, 12 months. The the PV is for present value, and that's the amount of the loan. So we'll go ahead and select B4 there. The future value, we want it to be 0. And for type, we want to go ahead and select 1 because it's at the beginning of the period, and it tells us that here. We'll go ahead and click OK. We'll click Mark Completed. Task 4 asks us to go to the 2016 Summary Chart tab, and it wants us to modify the table over here so that the product names are grouped with each country. So over here, we're going to go ahead and slide down until we find product name. What we want to do is actually just click and drag that down underneath country here. And notice it went ahead and it populated here in the table, and it changed our chart. We'll go ahead and click Mark Completed. And Task 5 asks us to go ahead and apply the style 16 to the pivot chart. So we'll select that chart here. Up here we have special chart tabs that affect only this chart. We'll go ahead and click Design. And the chart styles here, we just want to select 16. And we'll click Mark Completed.